Yeah, we got to be a little hurried on this one. I mean,
Yeah.
so
Well, we're doing it during the work week here.
yeah, it is a work week one. It's
Yeah.
a work. It's a legitimate. It's a coffee break because I got blood to get taken. This is all
That's
I
right.
have. You're allowed to drink black coffee, so just keep drinking black coffee. But before keep drinking black coffee. Cheers.
Cheers.
Hey, what
Hey,
do you?
Brandon.
Wait 1 second. What do you drink? What are you drinking?
Smoothie.
Okay, that's not. That's the opposite of what I'm drinking. I'm not allowed to drink that because all this blood I got to get out of me.
Yeah.
Hey, Andrew, start that timer.
Boom.
Boom, boom. Andrew, I would like to take a moment, and I have done this for myself now.
Mhm.
Within a budget, I would like to give you permission to do something stupid.
Okay.
That's it. It is not to do an artistic thing that is dumb. I'm giving you full permission that
Mhm.
you don't need to create a masterpiece.
Mhm.
You don't need to create something beautiful or something that because I've been stuck recently. I've been feeling real stuck, and
Yeah.
I'm getting a little unstuck. And one of the things that I broke it again. One of the things that got me unstuck is I I uh I died a baseball, which is dumb. I can't. There's no. It's still in the pot. It is falling
Yeah.
apart.
Okay.
It cost me. The baseball was free. I found it in the woods,
Uh-huh.
and
Was
it
it while
cost.
did you find it while you were in mascot suit?
No. This is just a completely different mascot. This is a completely different baseball that I just found in the woods.
Yeah.
But I have a lot of baseballs, so I decided that I was going to dye two of them.
Mhm.
And they're still being dyed, but I had to like go make plans. I had to go pick up the dye, which is cheap. I
Yeah.
bought the cheap dye, and this is all really stupid. I boiled the baseball to see what would happen,
What
and it got
happened?
an interesting sheen. And then I boiled it again in the dye, and now the dye is sort of taking it apart a little bit.
Mhm.
But who cares about this baseball? It's a piece. It's a project that is not built for selling. It's
Mhm.
not it's not a masterpiece. It's stupid,
Yeah.
but it was a series of events that I got to like do. And I think
Sure.
it's such a good way to get out of a funk is to go do something that is stupid. Like I
Yeah.
think you have to give yourself permission to like make dumb things.
Mhm.
Pick the dumb thing and then go from there. And sometimes you end up getting more stuff out of it, and you hope, or sometimes it will get
Mhm.
your day a little bit better. I think part of it's hard because both of our jobs, and every job I've had in some way, is at least loosely created to at least loosely connected to the creative, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it is hard that because that's great. That's an honor. That's a
Yeah.
privilege, right? But also that's hard because you always have to like make it good. And
Mhm.
I would like to give you permission, and I wish someone did this for me, that you can go and make something real dumb. I think you can make something that is unsellable. I think you can go and make a bad meme and just post it and go, hey, look at this bad meme. And then suddenly your fingers are moving. And then maybe from that bad meme, you make a second thing and it's a
Mhm.
slightly better meme. And then from there, you make a jingle about farts, right?
Mhm.
Like you make a fart jingle and it's garbage. And
Right.
who likes it? But you've taken the time, you've recorded it, you've gone through the steps that it takes to make more serious work and more important work.
Yeah.
But in that you are finding joy in the practice of doing what you have done, and it's not like, oh, you're doing, and listen, you should do studies, you should work on your scales, you should do the work part of the work. I'm not degrading that in any way, shape, or
Yeah.
form. But I also think you need to give yourself a little bit of permission and a little bit of space to be stupid. And I think that perhaps there are great artists and there are great people who make art and they never have to give themselves the space to be stupid. You're not one of them. You know what I mean? Like just
Yeah,
assume
yeah.
I think it's in the Art of War, which is a really good book that people should read about the creative process.
Mhm.
And one of the things it brings up at the beginning is like, well, what would like Picasso or Tarantino or whatever other, or Sylvia Plath do? You're not them.
Mhm.
Don't worry about that. Whatever they did is what they do. You got to think about yourself. Now, either there are a limited number of geniuses in the world, and you might not be one of them, so you don't have to worry about it. You're not that. Or there aren't a limited number of geniuses in the world, and your work can get you to that level, and so you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
It's a question you don't have to worry about. The grit you I would like to also give permission that you don't have to worry about, think about, or uh, fret the greatness of others. I think that is never a threat to you or to anyone else or to me. And
Mhm.
it's easy to go, well, look at their greatness. Don't Their greatness can be inspiring, but it's never a threat. It's a
Yeah.
threat when you're auditioning against them. And if they win, they win. That is life. And I'm sorry that that is going to be part of it, but you can still create without the permission of greatness, in my opinion. And I think it's an important thing to do to I am sure that this conversation has come back on this podcast. I mean, this podcast is a great example of just make stuff to make stuff.
Yeah.
Like put it out in the world and go, oh, I don't want to look at this. And but I think you have to. I think it is important, and I want to give space and sort of reiterate over and over again that you need to give yourself permission to be dumb. I think you need to give yourself permission to be silly. I think you have to give yourself permission to be uh to make to give yourself permission that you can spend not a lot of money, don't go nuts. That you can make something that is useless so that you can have some time that is useful to you, to your joy. And I think that
Yeah.
is a statement I want to make. Andrew, how would you like to add on to this?
Yeah. And I think that there's a lot of stuff in there because I think that what I'm sort of picking up on is when you're stuck, you're not finding joy a lot of times. And what you're mentioning, I think just bringing back the joy of doing something and why you want to do it in the first place, because I mean, we have had kind of variations on the getting unstuck topic on this podcast a few times. But I agree. I think it's worth like coming back to in its various forms, because there's always different ways and different reasons and different approaches that you can take. But I think that um with the joy, specifically, it's like, it's so easy to get caught up in doing stuff for the career, for the money, and I think both of us, and both of us like do things that are art for art's sake,
Mhm.
but then we also do stuff to make money,
Make
as well.
money, man. You gotta make that
Exactly.
money.
Yeah, and it's not that I don't think either of us don't enjoy the things that make us money, but there's a different priority that goes along with it, because you are trying to, pay the bills and stuff. So
Yes, but I
mm,
do want to say, actually, I want to
mm,
take it one step further, and I want to say, not only sometimes you make art for art's sake, and you go, "This is a beautiful piece of art.
yeah,
This is great." I think sometimes you need to do art for stupid sake. I think it
sure,
can even
sure.
go further than you have to let the grandness go away a little bit.
Yeah.
Existing on the plane with humans, where like on some level, we're all just kind of trying to fill time and fill the grave. Like that's all. That's
Yeah.
that's 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 our job. But you're sort of trying to figure out what you're doing between your birth and your death, and that's what life is. You're just kind of
Yeah.
and like sometimes you just got to waste time in an enjoyable way that is about like or and the other thing I want to bring up is I think it's so important to create a space and go to that space and like you don't even necessarily need to make anything great. You just go, okay, well, today I'm going to a space. I have one project to do, and I'm going to give myself, I'm not leaving this space until this one project is done.
Yeah.
And it doesn't need to be, and I would say, like, do something simple, like do a simple project for yourself. I'm going to write 30 seconds of a tune, 30 seconds.
Mhm.
And I'm not leaving this room till I write 30 seconds. Now I got my cell phone, I got my internet, I got this, I got that. That's fine. I can go ahead and play, but I'm still not allowed to leave. You know what I mean? Like, and I think there is, and it's good to be around people. It's always good
Mhm.
to be around people, but I think it is also sometimes important to let yourself be alone and let yourself be the we. I think we've talked about this many times before, but I think there is an important process, and I think in my art, and I think it's important for a lot of people, is to let yourself be a weird little guy sometimes.
Mhm.
Is like get yourself
Yeah.
in a space that is alone and it is, we'll say safe, but where you won't feel embarrassed to make the weird noises that you need to make for your art. And I think that's such a useful thing. Is community is important, but I think sometimes solitude can be kind of undersold by its, the necessity for the creative process is sometimes being alone and going and
Mhm.
then an hour later leaving with, or 3 hours later leaving with your 30 seconds of done because you were able to let yourself go a little bit feral and a little bit wild.
Yeah.
I think it's so easy, especially when you're in performance art, to completely miss it because you just start doing performances over and over again, and that feels great, and we
Mhm.
love that. But I think there is also in any performance art an appropriate time to really be with yourself, and I don't think that be with yourself needs to be as scary as we set it out to be. I've had no food and all coffee, and I think you can tell.
I can tell a little bit, but it's okay. You're still making sense. Well, and
That's
I think
hard.
that's hard. Yeah. Well, and I think, I mean, there's so many factors involved. It's like, you know, yeah, I definitely like my alone time.
Mhm.
Um, and I try to make sure that I do have that time to myself. Um, it's also, I've also noticed, like, as I've become more social, I guess, no, well, it's a combination, like more social, but also taking myself less seriously.
Mhm.
I do feel like I have a little bit better mental health. Um, and then even like when we're doing when I'm having my alone time, I have to be careful. Like, okay, is it really alone time, or am I scrolling on my phone or whatever? It's like, because that's not really healthy either. If you're doing that, and that's not really having alone time.
Mhm.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. I guess on some level it is, but it's
It's a start. Yeah, I think
yeah.
it's certainly a start, but you eventually have to let go. Like you have to let go of everything.
Mhm.
You can hold on to everything as long as you want, but eventually you're going to have to let go of everything. I think um, I was watching an artist I like a lot, and he said um, discipline doesn't have to be like cruel to yourself.
Mhm.
It can be a joyful act, and I think
Mhm.
that is such a important thing to remember. Is like you kind of, it's not, you don't have to do the self-discipline stuff and go to the art go to your art space twice a week because you don't like it. You go there because you do like it. And when you slip up and don't go, it is less important to go, oh, I'm falling apart, I'm doing bad. And more important, I think, to go, I like doing this. I want to keep doing this thing I like. I think that is a lot healthier. And it's, discipline doesn't have to be painful. And it
Mhm.
should have, especially in the arts, it is stressful and it can have hard parts to it, but I think it's so easy to forget the joy of what you are doing because you want to be serious about it. Does that
Mhm.
make sense?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And the other thing is that, I think you want to remember that you want to bring joy to other people as well.
Hmm.
Or you want to bring some kind of emotion to other people. It doesn't have to be joy, I guess. But, depending on the situation, you want to communicate with other people, like in the art that you're making, I think. So
I think, yeah, and I think it might be one of those things like you want the joy of communication, not necessarily the communication of joy, which I
mm,
think is two very different statements. Is there is one, you can do a horrible movie about horror things,
yeah,
or and like that's still about you making an idea and someone else hearing the idea,
sure. Mhm.
and that's different than you making a happy movie about a happy thing. It is still about that there's something that we can connect with. We can connect with other people, and even if that connection is
Yeah,
about disconnection and fear, there's something there that is compelling. Or you
yeah.
know, perhaps it is the compulsion to be compelling. To those what why and it's sometimes nice to
Yeah,
talk about because you say you're like, wait, why are those words the same? Did we time out?
yeah.
Okay, cool. Next time, talking about Cameo again. Really excited. This is
That's right.
Cameo and part two of Zodiac are the things we have
Yeah.
not covered
We
yet.
we have a lot of part twos that we haven't gotten to yet. That's okay. We've got them in our back pocket.
This is a real part two of part two of part two. Like,
Exactly.
and it's a return to do stuff because it's fun. Sometimes just do stupid stuff. That's my
Yeah.
statement to everybody. Just do something stupid.